so let's continue building our nav tags. Then we're going to build some class tags from these existing colors from this palette that we picked from this website. So let's finish our HTML tag. Select the tag, make a rule. Select the tag. Again, I don't need to say wrapper nav, where it's going to say nav. Nav is going to be, let's make nav height of. Now here's a cool technique here. If you want your content to be vertically in the center, I'm not going to change the box height. I'm going to change the line height to 40 pixels. This will vertically put the type in the center. Vertically put the type in the center, and I apply. So notice that it's vertically in the center here because I made my line height 40, not box height. If you make your box height 40, it's going to put the content jammed up to the top of the page. I don't want to do that. So let's do the aside tag. So select the tag, make a rule. So side tag is going to be 150 pixels wide, and it's going to flow to the left, and it's going to have 10 pixels of padding. So therefore, if I apply this, I don't want my side tag to be 150 pixels high. 150 pixels wide plus 10 and 10. So it's 170 pixels wide. I want to make it 150, so I need to minus 10. Make a change. Save a change. Okay, so let's go to the section tag, Now, pay close attention here. The wrapper tag itself, we set up the wrapper tag to be, now these tags should be in the HTML section, which go up here, technically, but it's part of the wrapper tag, so I think it's totally acceptable to put that down here because it's part of the wrapper tag in the order that it appears on the page. Wrapper, header, nav, aside. So wrapper tag was 900 pixels wide. We just made the aside tag 150 pixels wide, so we need to keep track of that math. I'm sorry, 150 pixels wide, it should be 130. So it's 150 minus 20. Okay, so the aside tag flows to the left, so the content could go to the right. Now a section tag, select the section tag, and make a rule. So again, section inside of wrapper, but I don't need to be that specific. It's just going to say section tag. Section tag is going to be, let's think about this. Section tag is going to be the width of the site, which is 900 pixels, minus the side tag to the left. That's going to be 150 pixels minus the news bar, which is the other side tag. That's going to be 200 pixels, so minus 200 with 30 pixels of padding. So what do I need to do with this number here? I need to minus what? Minus 60 pixels and float this to the left. Okay. Now, very important step here, okay? A side tag, we're going to use a side tag here for, say, let's use a side tag here for stuff that we want to put on the site. Maybe customer testimonials. The other side tag over here, also very important step here, they're both a side tag. So how do I talk to one aside tag different from the other aside tag? The answer is we give it an ID. So I can select this aside tag in Command T, give the aside tag an ID. So I can say aside, Command T. This aside tag is going to be different than the other aside tag. So let's call this ID equals quotation mark. Let's call this testimonials test and return. So this aside tag has a specific ID. This aside tag is going to also have an ID. So I select the aside tag, hit Command T, aside ID equals quotation mark news bar. So similar to doing, in quotation marks, so similar to doing div tags, these are HTML tags. So how can I talk to this tag separate from the other tag? I do that by assigning an ID. So in this particular case, the aside tag here, technically, officially, that's the aside tag for the entire site. Okay, so let's actually delete this aside tag for a second. Let's select the aside tag and hit the trash icon. Now, sometimes Dreamweaver is a little fickle. In this particular case, it didn't delete. So we can go to the code and do this. Okay, there, it deleted it there. Okay, so let's go back to the aside tag again, because the aside tag now has an ID. The aside tag now has an ID, so we can select the tag and make a rule. Select the tag, make a rule. Now, important step here, so we don't get confused here. It's going to make a lot of sense to call these tags what they are. They're aside tags. So let's go into the code for a second. Select the aside tag ID. We're going to call it testimonial, or simply test. We're going to call it test aside. This way we know that it's an aside tag, because a very important step here. It's just simply going to end up inside our CSS as ID equals aside. Test. It's going to say # test. You're not going to know if it's a div tag or what it is. So it makes total sense to put the suffix of what kind of tag it is. So same thing with newsbar. Newsbar aside. Camel case. Camel's case. So I can see that it says newsbar aside and not one complete word. So that's just a good production technique. Okay. So I select the aside tag, and I make a rule. Select the tag, make a rule. Select the tag, make a rule. So this is the rule for the aside tag called test, short for testimonials. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to make this 150 pixels wide with 10 pixels of padding. So I need to minus 20 pixels, and this needs to float to the left. Okay, therefore the other aside tag, which is over here, now that helps you to start naming these. We can just call that newsbar. We'll just keep it simple for now. We're going to select the tag, and make a rule. So newsbar aside, again, this is simply an ID tag, similar to div tags have ID tags. In fact, any tag, paragraph tag, strong tag, any tag can have an ID tag inside the property palette down here on the bottom left. So in this particular case, this is the aside tag, HTML aside tag that has an ID called newsbar. So newsbar is going to be 200 pixels wide. 200 pixels wide with, let's just put 15 pixels of padding, which means I need to do what? Minus 30. Now, just because we can, important step here, if the div tags or a tag is going right next to each other with no space, I can technically flip them all to the left. But in this particular case, just because we can, we're going to float this one to the right. Okay. Now let's finish off with footer. Footer has a tag. Footer has no rules. So I select the tag, footer, and make a rule. Let's just move this up a little bit. Come over here and make a rule for a footer. Now, if you recall previous videos, footer is going to be a little smaller typeface. So footer is going to be 9 pixels. We're going to make our footer have white type. Now, you're not going to see it until I assign a color. Now, in this particular case, I want my footer to be a consistent color, so I'm not going to assign the color inside of a class tag. I'm going to physically code the footer tag to be black background. Now, I want the type to vertically be in the center, top and bottom, so I'm going to give my footer height of 35 pixels for the line height, which is going to vertically put it top and bottom in the center. We're next going to go to block category called block, and horizontally align this to be in the center. Horizontally align to the center, vertically align to the center using line height. Line height. Now, what the footer needs is the footer needs to clear the aside tag, which has a left float, the section tag, which has a left float, and the other aside tag, which is our news bar tag, which has a right float. So based on these choices right here, the footer tag needs to clear both those floats that it's up, that it's below, the left float and the right float. So it needs to clear both. Okay, so the aside tag is now the aside tag left, aside tag right, section tag, footer tag. Now there's no content in here, and the wrapper doesn't have a certain height, so therefore the wrapper is just basically going to its own height here. Now we're going to take this and we're going to cut this. We're going to put this outside the wrapper tag. Actually, let's just keep it there for a second. Let's keep it simple. Now, here's the super cool, exciting part.